All right, welcome back. Hey, that made me think about welcome back.
That was my show too. That was my show. Welcome back, Carter. I love
welcome
that show.
back, Carter. All right, well, we welcome you back to the J Talks Today's Relationship Show. All right, with the crew.
All
right, Mimi.
Miss Mimi.
Hey,
Mimi Fox.
How are you?
All right, we are on it. We're good.
Yes.
All right, Mimi, David, and Jay. All right,
so country,
y'all gonna sandwich me today?
Come on, Jay. What we talking about?
All right, let's get this thing on it. Let's get on it. All right.
Yeah.
Serious talk today.
Serious talk.
I'm gonna try not because it is kind of serious.
It's very serious.
Very serious. Okay. When do we call a relationship abusive? You know, we hear the term abusive relationship. So when do we call a relationship abusive? When does it become abusive?
You know, Jay, Miss Mimi, you know, when we were thinking about this topic, you know, one of the things that I thought about was that most of the time, you know, I'm not saying it's always, but most of the time, relationships mostly don't start off being abusive. Where you can, you know, just like right then and there. It's subtle things that happens before it actually gets to the point of being either, you know, verbal, mental, or physical abuse. And that's the thing that we have to look out for. You know, when you're in a relationship, whether it's a marriage, committed relationship, you know, or whatever, you have to look for those subtleties. And I think a lot of times we close our eyes, you know, as to say, okay, no, that wasn't what it was, when we, you know, see it plainly, when we see it clearly, you know, with our eyes. And that thing is what will, if you can spot that, and not close your eyes to it, it'll tell you. It'll tell you when the relationship, or if the relationship is going to be an abusive relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. A flag, yes.
A flag, right. And a lot of times, red flags are there, and you don't see them, or you ignore them, or you choose to ignore them, because often at times, especially with women, you know, a woman, you know, is wanting to be loved by a man, or desired by a man, or wanting to be in a relationship or married so desperately that they ignore things that are right in front of their face.
Yes.
Man, I'm not saying all women. I mean, men do it too, because abuse goes both ways. Men can be abused by women as well as women by men. And even if you're in a same-sex relationship, you know, you can be abused by your partner regardless. Oftentimes we turn and look the other way. We don't see what we don't want to see. We don't acknowledge it because we don't want to acknowledge it. And not thinking forwardly and looking down the line where excusing this behavior is going to lead us.
Absolutely.
And so set the tone. You've heard me say before many times, listeners, in this show about setting expectations at the door.
Yeah.
And here's one of those situations where it is so crucial that you let your partner know what you will and will not tolerate at the door.
Absolutely.
And then once you see that they are not respecting that, then that's a red flag that you should not ignore.
I agree, Miss Mimi. You know, and women especially, like you say, you made the statement, and it's true that It's not like it's just one-sided, because it's not. There are men that are being abused in relationships, but for the most part, it's women that suffer at the hand of abuse. And I think for it's a lot of reasons, but for the most part, women like to think or believe, maybe this is just a one-time thing, or it'll be all right, it'll change if I love him enough, if I care for him, if I love him enough, it'll change.
That's right, and start making excuses for their negative behavior. Yeah, we're good at that.
Well, I think I'm going to come from a different view on it, and what you ladies are bringing to the table. Y'all, it's good woman to woman talk. So I'm going to put a different view, because I'm looking at it, I guess, from optimism, and Miss Debbie, well, both of you kind of based it. It's either the woman is ignoring the signs or whatsoever. I would also want to add to that even and I hope some women are really listening, and not just women, but men too.
Absolutely.
Men too, because as you said, Marcy, men are also abused.
What did you call me? Mimi? What do you mean?
Mimi, Miss Mimi, yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's why, Miss Mimi and Fox on the. But yes,
Mimi.
as you said, that some men are abused, but not in the same way as many women are abused.
Right.
Okay, men are mostly verbal, or attitudes. Women can go as far as very physical, But here's the thing I tend to see a lot, because the ratio of church attendance, religion attendance, is almost about the same as in the black society of women to men. It's almost about 70% women to 30% men that tend to attend. When you look at the religious church population, you see that percentage. And where I'm going with that is that out of the percentage of women that's attending church religious entities, you'll find that there are some women who are attending, who are going through physical or some type of abusive relationship, that have this focus. Well, because I believe in God, I trust in God, and that He will work it out. That God will work it out. And I'm putting, like I said, a different twist on this, and that's what many women will tend to say. Even some men that might be going through, but like I said, men don't really go through the kind of abuse that women go through. They have been, and this has been from centuries. Not just decades. This has been for centuries. And it's on all sides. It's not just black or white or it's all races. But here's the thing I also see, as I was starting to say, church religion. I had to put this percentage, and out of that percentage, you have some people, another percentage of women, like I said, who are going through abuse, and probably half of those that are going through abuse are going through physical abuse. So here's what the idea that if you pay attention, is that their focus is that God will fix it. God will, and I'm not saying God can do it, But I want to say that we don't tend to listen and pay attention to what, and I'm going to speak some religious word to those that are religious, okay? That if we really understand what the word of religion says, that God has given us unique power and unique resonance of intelligence, and to make some sound choices in everything we do. And one thing we know that God doesn't do is make a person do anything. All right, because if He ever took control of a person, then that mocks His word and His promise that of giving us free will. Okay. So He won't make a person do anything, and I think sometimes we put that focus where God will fix it by making this person come correct, or by making this person, because Proverbs even said there are some that might take a very bad devastation before they change, and even they still may not change even until death, meaning there's not a promise that this other person that you are praying for or hoping for will change. Will change. Right. But what God has put in you is the fact to not be deceived by the situation that you're in, to tell yourself the truth of what the situation that you're in, and acknowledge the truth of the situation you're in. And if we can do that, then we can most likely make some good sound choices about the situation and the relationship that we're in calling the person what they are. All right?
But that kind of, were you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
So that kind of takes me right back to like what you initially said. When does a relationship become abusive? Because, we're focusing on like the physical abuse side of things, although there's other types of abuse out there. And I want to interject to you and to our listeners that, and this is just strictly my opinion, just how I see it. Abuse starts anytime you feel disrespected. If someone is calling you out your name, right, they're disrespecting you, that's a verbal abuse. If someone is torturing you mentally, playing tricks or mind games or whatever, that's emotional abuse. If someone is raising up, putting their hands on you, that's physical abuse. All those things fall under one very important category in a relationship: respect. At the very first time that you're being disrespected, I guarantee you it will fall in one of them three categories.
Yes, that's
of abuse.
Right.
It's sexual abuse, and that can happen between adults. When you trust a person and you go in the bedroom behind a locked door, you could be overpowered, even with somebody you know. Anytime a person feels disrespected, I guarantee you that's a red flag right there. On the start of abuse.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do, Miss Mimi. I agree with you. And you just laid it out for us as to the different forms of abuse, and how at the beginning of the show I was talking about how it also too can start out suddenly. He may not start off calling you the B word or anything like that. He might start off saying you dumb or you stupid, you can't get anything right, you being disrespected, and after a while and then he apologizes, oh baby, I didn't mean to say that to you, and then that's how the abuse starts from there, because for the most part women don't address that issue like that when it first happens, like when he calls you stupid. We'll just write it off as him being angry, and he apologized. Okay, so I'm gonna let it go. So okay, he starts calling you stupid, then he starts calling you ignorant or dumb, and then you may have those harsher words come that disrespect you. And then after a while what happens is that once it starts taking on those levels like that, you start getting to a point, maybe, possibly, that's who you are. You know, and you just start saying, "Oh, I know he's mad, and he don't really mean it," or you know, you just don't even hear it anymore. You just start accepting that attitude.
That phase that you're describing is called conditioning.
Yes. Yes, conditioning. Yes, I agree. And then you know when it stops at when he's called you all of the names that he could possibly call you. Then it can go into, you know, another level of the physical abuse. You know, he slapped you, you know, and then those slaps turn to what? Punches or chokes and things like that. And then the next thing you know, you're in a full-blown physical abusive relationship. And so now the question is, why is it that women allow themselves to stay in those type of relationships? And it could be several, you know, it's several reasons why women stay in relationships that are abusive, you know. And so for the most part, the ones the two that really stick out to me is, you know, oh, I love him, and if I love him, then, you know, my love for him will change his attitude. Or two, it could be because he can give you anything that you want, you know. Anything that you can dream of, anything that you can wish for, he can give it to you. So you feel that's in order for you to receive that, then you have to stay in this relationship with him.
Okay. That's true.
So, you know,
that applies to some out there, a whole lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Most people that know me, most of the listeners that have heard me on the show, and I'm sure you know I'm not a one-size-fits-all person. You know, there's, like you said, there's so many different ways to look at that, or what people perceive as abuse or negative behavior. And everyone has their own level of tolerance. But it just all boils down to when you're not being treated the way you feel you deserve to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts there, and it can end up in so many different places.
Absolutely.
Like you just outlined the whole name-calling scenario, dumb, ignorant, stupid, then it escalates to B words and MS and all that, and then it escalates to the physical violence. But guess what else? It can go beyond that, especially if we're talking about, you know, a relationship between a husband and wife or man and woman that's intimate. It could go in the bedroom. It's possible for a woman to be raped by her boyfriend or her husband. I mean, the abuse can just go on and on and on and escalate and get worse and worse and worse until a person that's being abused feels, you know, they're trapped and there's no way out.
Yeah.
And that's a bad place for anybody to be. Because when you're backed into a corner, you're not thinking straight, you're not thinking rational, you're just thinking about getting out. And you're going to get out of that corner any way you can.
By any means necessary.
Breathing goes out the window.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of times we get in trouble.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's when we get in trouble.
Yeah.
We our mind gets cracked, and we wind up doing things that we, you know, I mean, people have died over either the person doing the abuse or the person snapping.
Absolutely.
And trying to get vengeance back at them.
Yeah.
When it actually, and I'm talking for the victim now, the victim, not the abuser, because, you know, like I said earlier, there's no promise that the abuser will ever stop being an abuser. And you could have hope, but hope. And I can't help but say this, but because I don't like to leave things vague. You know, I really like closing the gap on anything that's said, and the hope is many people tend to take the phrase hope that it is a promise. It's not. It's a promissory note.
Yeah.
Hope is not a promissory note. It is a 50-50 margin.
Yeah.
And with what but the things that we put hope in, and I'm talking to the more religious folk. And I think that's a big wide margin. Even if folk don't go to church, they still call themselves religious, okay? But hope, when we say hope, we always put hope in people, and
that's going to be
what the Bible actually teaches is not to put hope in people, but you put hope in God. And when we put hope, because He's the only one that you can say that does deliver a promise and of what He said He would deliver. But then we try to make a lot of things that God has never promised to make it be a promise, and there are many things God has not promised, and we have conformed to be a way of our outlook, and it's really a deception. So we put hope in people, and then when we do that, we reconstruct the whole idea of what was supposed to be directed to God on the things He said, at least, and we then put it in people, and so we then, without really paying attention and being unconscious, we have made people a God, and that hope is like a promise. So we say, Lord, I hope, I really hoping that He'll change. Or I'm sure somebody listening has heard the word, or probably said it themselves. I really hope that they'll change and get it right. And we say that and with not really paying attention to the direction of, because everything you say becomes a conformity of who you are and how you will act on it. So if you're saying those kind of things, I'm just asking if you just stop and rethink about what you're really saying, because you're going to conform to those to the language that you're talking about, that you're throwing out of your mouth. So and when you're saying that, are you saying that with the idea that this person may not change, or this person, or you just really got it stuck in your head? I'm not saying that a person can't change. I'm definitely not saying it. I hope any listener, I'm saying what I'm saying. Take each word of what I'm saying, that a person may not change, meaning it's 50-50. And when we rest all our hope that it is the promise that this person will change, just because you call them on God, you got to remember, God will not make a person change. He will put things in our path that should change us, but it's not a promise. That's what I tend to want I'm a message I really would like people to really get, from at least from Jay.
Right. I think Jay and Miss Mimi, we're talking about, this topic is very, very serious. So to the listeners out there, to some of you who are actually in an abusive relationship, you know how far it is. You know to what advancement it is, as we're talking on this show this evening about physical abuse. My word to you is to not stay in a abusive relationship. If you are at one of these levels that we've just talked about, and you see yourself, just know for the most part, and Jay just made the comment and said, people can change, and they do change, and it can be, but you don't want to take that chance as to see if your mate is going to be one of those that change. Because things happen all the time when you're in an abusive relationship. That one hit that he gives you could be the one that ends your life. And this is serious talk. You may not think it will happen this time because you've been so used to being physically abused, but all it takes is that one instant to where that person is actually so angry at the moment that they take your life. This is serious. We're not just talking. This is very, very serious. If you're in an abusive relationship, please get out of it.
And can I just add something to that, what you just said? Because domestic violence is so widespread, too widespread.
Too widespread, yeah.
In the world today, and way too common. And oftentimes, when you are in that kind of situation, you don't know, where to go.
Yeah.
Who you can trust, who to talk to. And I just want to share the National Domestic Violence Hotline for all our listeners. If you or someone you know or love is in that situation, please share this number. It is 1-800-799-7233. I'm going to say that again, and I'll say it at the end of the show. 1-800-799-7233. If you or someone you know or love needs help, please share that number with them.
And thank you, Miss Mimi. Because this is, we can't state it enough that this topic is a very serious, and Miss Mimi brought out, is very, very widespread. And there has been so many cases, like even now, women now that are actually living what we're talking about. And, and there, I stated earlier about that there are different reasons why women, stay in abusive relationships. And the next one that I want to shed light on is the fact that, the abuse has been so severe for so long until the woman, and Miss Mimi, you made mention of it earlier, that they have been conditioned and they're fearful to leave. They're scared.
Right.
And what do you do at that point when you're actually fearful? You're scared, for your life, to leave, because, he's told you that if you try to leave me, I'm going to kill you. But if you stay, he's going to kill you. So you have to make a decision.
Yes, you do. Right. And all I can do is encourage you. Right. If you suspect the situation you're in is abusive, call the helpline.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Don't wait until you're in the hospital at death's door.
Yes.
If you suspect you're in an abusive relationship, if he puts his hands on you or her hand on you one time, pick up the phone and call the hotline. They can help you.
Yes.
Well, I've counseled with several women, men too, and I've even seen it, and I've counseled with homosexual couples also, and I've seen, and I think Mimi, you made that comment a little earlier, in regards to homosexual. Abuse doesn't have a gender.
Yes, that's
right.
Abuse
doesn't have an age. Abuse doesn't have a title of a person.
Right.
Abuse doesn't have a society. Abuse doesn't have a race preference. So abuse can come in so many ways. I mean, even now, which is also a strong consideration and a strong concern amongst parents and teachers in schools, where you have abuse in schools, where you have bullying, and many kids are being abused so bad by bullying, which is a form of abuse in relationships. Right, that kids are killing themselves and suicide.
Yes.
Because they don't want to go to school so bad because of the abuse. That that they'd rather kill themselves.
Yes.
Than to go and face the people at school. And this has been an ongoing thing. Like I said, abuse has been going on in relationships. There are all kinds of relationships. I want to reiterate that to our listeners. It's just not couples. You have abuse even in your family. When because the question was, when is it that in a relationship that it is considered abuse? And people. Another form of abuse is when you have a regular pattern of being taken for granted.
Yeah.
I mean,
regular pattern.
Yeah, regular pattern, not just every now and then, but this is a regular pattern. You know, that you're taking for granted. You know, we hear that phrase. You know, you taking advantage of my niceness. Well, when it's a regular pattern, it's it's not just a taking advantage. Like you, I think, Mimi, you said is conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's conditioning. It's a tactic used. All types of predators use it. Sexual predators use it. Adults against children or what have you. But it's just a pattern that that abusers use to get their victims. I don't know. It's like a training process, I guess.
Absolutely.
Get them where they in the right mindset and where they're most vulnerable. Conditioning, yeah. And it's even something that, like you said, where you make excuses for individual, if they're taking you for granted or what have you. You find that a lot. I've seen it, especially when it comes like with elders and their children or their grandchildren. Elder abuse is a big thing that doesn't get a whole lot of attention. That will start off like what you said, being taken for granted. And when they see that you can't give them or provide them with what they need or want or what you used to be able to give them and provide them, they get angry, and then the abuse starts. So definitely is a red flag or a sign that there is potential abuse coming down the path when you see that negative behavior where they're just constantly taking you for granted, and taking you for what you have also. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wanted to mention, thank you so much, Miss Debbie, for even bringing this topic up this evening. I wasn't aware of it, but this is October, and October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Wow, okay.
You're right on point there. You're right on point.
Yeah, it is a very strong awareness that we as people really need to pay attention to in our individual selves, not just not also, you know, not so much you know, just keeping the focus. Well, I'm looking out for somebody else. You might need to be looking out for yourself, because it's you know, we have some people that are really in denial. Well, it's not really happening to me. You know, this is not as bad as somebody else. You know, I might be getting a little abuse, but it's not as bad as this person getting hit. You know, but as both of you all said, there are signs. You know, there are many signs, and the things, you know, if you let a person keep continuing to do it, then, and don't put it in check, the person, majority of the time, I'm not saying all, because there are those few, but the majority of the time, high percentage, is that what they continue to do in whatever it is increase in whatever it is that they're doing. You know, if you let a thief come into the store, and he knows you see them walk out the store with 2 candy bars, and he come back in and they grab 10 candy bars, and they know you're seeing it, and they keep coming back, but they get more, because that's what they do. They go for more, and it increases and go for more. Before you know it, they'll try. They getting ready to rob your cash register, because they're like, you know, you ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Absolutely. and you know, Jay, and that's a good a great analogy that you just shared, because that's what abuse does. You know, and you know, and we're talking about abuse on this level, and let me just say, any abuse, whether it be minute or on a grand scale, is too much abuse. That is abuse, plainly and put. Whether it's minute or it's abuse is abuse. There's no other way around. There's no black and white. There's no gray matter. Abuse is abuse. And so when you talk about that for women, a lot of times, you know, that's what happens. You know, because the man knows, well, I can get away with this, calling her stupid or calling her dumb or the B word, and she's not going to do anything. As long as I say I'm sorry, you know, she'll accept that. And then it'll get to the point to where the abuse gets so bad, you know, that he won't even apologize anymore. He'll stop apologizing, because for what? He's gotten you to the point to where he wants you to be at. Belittled, disrespected, feel like you're less than nothing. That's where he wants you at. You know, and so he don't even apologize anymore. You know, he just go on and do what what he's gonna do. You know, and you're left feeling, you know, like less than a person, you know, less than a woman, you know, because he's you know, belittled you so far, you're so far down till, you know, you can't even see up just about. You know, that is a bit, that's don't, ladies, do not, please. If you're, and I say again, I can't say this, you know, and I know it's probably some listeners that are listening tonight that are probably saying, y'all don't understand. You know, it's easy for y'all to say because you're not in this situation. No, I'm not in this situation, and no, I'm sympathizing because we know how serious this is, and it's so widespread. But that's why we want you to know that there is help for you. You do not have to stay in this abusive relationship, because at some point in time, it may not be now, if you're getting beat, where you having injuries and things like that, at some point in time, this thing could escalate further than what you wanted to escalate, and it's going to be out of your control now. So we just want you to just really understand how serious this is. And Miss Mimi gave you the number. She's going to give it to you again. If you are in this kind of relationship, it's important for you today to get out of it.
That's right. If you or someone you know or love is in a bad situation and you think it's abusive or you know it's abusive, call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. It is totally anonymous. You don't have to give your name. Operators there to help you 24 hours a day. Even if you're not sure, you just suspect, they're there to give you answers and support. Just a phone call away. 1-800-799-SAFE.
Yeah, and I just want to go back, and you know, I know we have youth that listen to our show.
Yes.
We have a lot of viewers. Even though, you know, and our number is on the screen. If you're not looking at the screen, you're hearing the audio. Our calling number is 931-220-7063. We'd love if you have some comments in regards to this topic of the show. We would love to hear from that, even though sometimes, you know, we don't get callers. Well, one thing we are very aware of, our viewing or listening audience is huge. And I think people just, you know, sometimes just shy away for some, you know, some reason or another. You know, they are anonymous. You know, however, in regards to what you all just said, there was, you know, I've seen where a young lady who was living with a guy, was just living, and we do find many cases that you know, we have cohabitants or cohabitating people with each other, whether however they want to label it, or we just roommates, or we just friends. So so what we do is tend to make it where even our youth sometimes don't report, as you said, you know, call the number, and even our youth do not even sometimes make the call, stray away to tell the teacher, because they're scared of what might happen. But there was a lady, as I was just saying, who was cohabitating, shacking, however you want to say it, with a guy, and on a regular basis, she would get her eyes blackened. I'm saying seriously blackened. And I would ask, well, are you tired of this? Her answer was yes. It wasn't that she couldn't leave. The guy never threatened her. I asked her because, has he ever threatened you not to leave? She was like, no. I'm like, well, why do you stay? Here's what I get. Because I love him. And I know he can be better and has potential to be a better person. I just want to say this. Now, she's continually getting her eyes blackened repetitively. Her statement is the reason she stays willingly, because he hasn't threatened her about, there are some that do threaten, but it hasn't threatened her to leave, was that because she loves him. And I would ask some of these victims, what is it that you love? Well, they they do this and they do, and really I never can really get a real solid definition of what they love. Really itemize, I would get, beat around the bush kind of statements like, they treat me good. Well, how do they treat you good? Can't get the answer, a solid definition of it. And what I'm finding is that a lot of people cannot define their relationship, and they connect it with an idea rather than a definition. And because like this woman, she had no definition. She just had an idea, but couldn't define anything. Couldn't itemize anything. And so when I I went back to the question, do you like getting beat? No. I said, but you keep going back knowing that he's going, well, I know he can be better. I know he has the potential. Well, this is my statement. Everybody in life has potential. Everybody in life has potential for anything. Potential. But the question is whether or not a person will move it. We have a potential to move into politics or to be a business owner. Everybody has potential. But the question is, will we move into that potential, or are we moving in the direction of the potential? And if we're not, then the potential is non-existent until we actually move. And that's why I go back to that hope thing, because sometimes we are deceiving ourselves on hope. Hope is real, but we got to operate in the truth of what hope really is.
Jay, I would say, to that, ladies, please hear us, this evening. Women that are in abusive relationships, and I ask the question most of the time, by whether it's a friend or a loved one, somebody in your family that know this type of thing is actually taking place. Why are you staying? Because that's the question. Why do you stay? And you say, well, I love him. I know he can change, or he's really not a bad guy. These are just some of the things, women say. He's really not a bad guy. He just has an anger problem, and it'll be okay. And if I love him enough, he'll change. And I just need to love him enough, love him more. Or I need to be a better person, or whatever, And what you do, and Miss Mimi, you said it earlier at the beginning of the show. What we do is you make excuses for this type of behavior to continue to go on. That's what you're doing. You're making excuses for this type of behavior to continue to go on. Now, it's a fact Yes, I understand the whole dynamics of you loving him, of her loving you, vice versa, because we're talking on a more of a woman standpoint. But there are men, like we said at the top of the show, that get abused just as well. But you loving him is not conditioned. Is not conditioned of his love for you. It's evident because if he loved you, honestly. Hear me. If he loved you, you're hurting, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, he's hurting you. And not only is he hurting you, he's destroying your being, your every being. Your soul, your mind, your body, your everything is being destroyed. Is that love?
Yep, that's true. That's true. I just want to add to that, ladies, men, elderly, and children. Abuse comes so many different forms, and anybody can be a victim. If you fall into that category, please see someone for help. Keep saying it over and over again. 1-800-799-SAFE. Can't say it enough. But no one should ever live in a situation or feel like they're not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, I'm sure Miss Debbie and Jay, I'm sure you've heard this before, because they ask me every time I go to the doctor. They ask me every time, do you feel safe at home?
Wow.
And at first I looked at them like, what?
Wow.
And I now know, now that I'm trying to see why they ask that question.
Right, okay.
There are so many people out there that don't feel safe at home.
Right.
And always has that their abuser with them.
Right,
When they go to the store or when they go visit a friend, he's right there.
Right.
So they can't feel like they're reaching out for help. And they even taking some time there when they're in there at the doctor's office or whatever. But, if you two had that opportunity where you had that 2 minutes, give us a thought and dial those digits and reach out for help.
Wow.
Tell your pastor, tell your friend, tell your teacher, tell your doctor, tell your dentist, honestly tell God, just tell somebody.
Yeah. Miss Mimi, you just the comment you just made, it came to me, like a light bulb, honestly, because I noticed that I didn't know why the doctor was asking that. I'm like, when they would ask me, do I feel? I'm like, yes, I feel safe at home. I didn't understand, but now I do, and I didn't see it in that aspect. And I'm telling you, Miss Mimi, I used to be like, why they keep asking me that? But I understand now. And I think that's a great thing. But I'm saying, ladies, we've seen it so many times before. Jay hit on it a little earlier, as to say, when you stay in an abusive relationship and it's ongoing and it's every day and it's long term, you get to a point to where something is going to happen, and it's going to be permanent, and it's going to be final. And that's whether he does something to you or you do something to him. It's a show on, that comes on TV. We see it all the time, Snapped. Women in relationships, whether it's a marriage or in a relationship, and they've been taking the abuse and taking the abuse and taking the abuse, and then finally they get to a point to where the abuse is ended either at their hands or at the hand of their abuser. And we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to be you. It's so many women that are actually in prison doing time now because of this thing, and the end result is so clear, and I've heard it all the time, and they say, I just couldn't take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. To hear those words, I just couldn't take it anymore. You don't want that to be you, to have to say that behind bars, because for the most part, I'm sure there are, women that has family, children, and you're in a relation, and this doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone that's close to you.
You're right, it does. You know, wow, you said that quite well. And that's coming from someone who's been in abusive relationships before. But you're right, it affects the whole family. You know, I had a situation recently, talking to a friend, girlfriend in an abusive relationship, where, deep. And she has 2 daughters. You know, one's probably 14 and the other's probably 10. And he does all those things. He calls her out her name. You know, it started with the dumb and stupid, and it escalated to the other words. And it's even gotten a little bit physical at times. And you're right, when one person is being abused, the whole family's being abused. And the thing that we didn't talk about tonight, that just is coming up right at this moment, is that when we allow that to happen as women, and we have children, they're seeing that.
Absolutely.
And when they see that behavior, and they see that we allow that behavior, then they're going to grow up thinking that that's okay, that that's what they should expect and accept as the normal or the standard.
Absolutely.
So if we can't stand up for ourselves, women, we have to stand up for them.
Absolutely.
To show them that it could be better. Show them that they don't have to put up with this. That they don't have to tolerate this behavior in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I was witnessing, and this is general. This is not even though I'm gonna use kind of a figurative format, but it is general. We see actions similar to this.
Yeah.
So, but I was standing and witnessing where a guy was buying some, some food, prepared food, you know, that you get at restaurants and stuff like that. Prepared food, and he was making comments, you know, about getting his boys and all that, and getting, you know, even possibly even paying for theirs. But his wife was with him, and she was hungry. He got this big old order, and she was like, she was up more interested with just one little thing. And he was like, no, I ain't getting you nothing. I ain't getting you nothing. But he was willing to, like,
right. And
I mean, you know, and there are even from the outside we can see. Absolutely. You can see signs. You know, it's something like that. You can see there's a problem. Going on right there. You're not saying dipping into their business, but there are some things that just are very obvious signs. You know, when he's willing to come out of his pocket to pay for his boys, and this is his wife who's actually hungry also, and just not even asking for much. But he wouldn't dare even try to. This is his wife. All right. So I mean, you know, but even like I said, you know, people tend to lure themselves to a picture or image. It's almost like Happy Gilmore, that movie, and the man kept telling Happy Gilmore, go to your happy place. Go to your happy place. You know, every time he got depressed or something, Happy Gilmore would get depressed. There was this black golfer who was a friend, kept telling him, say, go to your happy place. You know, you can ease your pain if you go to your happy. I tend to say that many people, when they're dealing with a relationship, no matter what the relationship is, you know, a couple, you know, kids at school, what they tend, I think, instead of seeing it for what it really is, calling it for what it really is, they go to their happy place and imitate a false picture. Coping mechanism is very good phrase for that. So that they can absorb what's really going on, and like with with a popsicle, and they don't see it for what it really is, and because that diversion can be many times harmful to you, because you made a comment, Miss Debbie. If you've been threatened, especially if you've been threatened in any kind of relationship, for your life, they've threatened you that they'll kill you if you leave. Well, if it's that bad that they're making that kind of threat, the potential of them
is there.
You even staying and dying is there.
Absolutely.
Because if they've made a threat that deep, then they are potentially capable of killing you while you stay.
Absolutely.
So so if the options is the same, then
That's
really
good,
here's the statement.
Right.
Then what do you really have to lose in least making the effort to leave? If your options are the same, the thing of it is that option of what do you have to lose, it would be what would you have to gain. And the possibility of gaining would be possibly maybe freedom, and possibly freedom, and possibly peace, and possibly away from that you were afraid of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just saying. Many times we have to rethink, reprogram the way we think, because if we don't, we may never see the thing as it really is, or we may never see the escape that we really have, or we may never see the freedom that we actually really have.
Yeah, and so Jay, I say, and you shared a story with us, and that might seem trivial, as always just a dinner, but now we talked about at the beginning of the show those little subtle ways and how abuse starts, and clearly, there are signs, ladies, there are signs. Do not turn a blind eye to these signs. There are signs. Now that might have seemed trivial, but there's always, we don't really know what go on. The saying that you don't really know what go on behind closed doors. But if you see it, absolutely, you see it outly in some form, some subtle form, you can just about imagine it's worse at home. It's worse at home. I'm just going to share this story and why I feel so strongly about anybody. When I say anybody, man, woman, child, whoever you are, if you're in an abusive situation. True story, girlfriend of many, many years. She was dating this guy, and she met him. She was dating him, and from the very beginning, this man was abusive to her. She was having a party for him one weekend, which had, a birthday party, had all of his friends there, spent top dollar on food and drinks and everything, had his family there, her family, and everything to make this night, grand for him. And she had been, of course, cooking and cleaning and everything that day, and his friends were steady coming in, and where she lived was upstairs, and so she would have to go all the way downstairs to open the door and that type of thing. So during the party, the doorbell rang, and she said, well, go and, sweetheart, go, baby, go and open the door, for your company. And he, of course, had gotten high by then, and was like, I ain't doing, just started, cussing real hard, with her family, father there included. I'm not doing it, and you get up off of your big, and go down and open the door. So she did, as to trying to keep the confusion down. Well, when she come back up, of course, she's mad at this time, and she calls him in the back room, and they get to arguing and things like that. So they come back out, and they were still arguing, and in the midst True story. In the midst with her father there, he jumps up, slaps her so hard that, I mean, you can hear it over the music playing. By that time, her father, in one quick motion, it was so quick, if you had a blink, you would have missed it, pulled his pistol out and pulled it on him, and was like, if you ever hit my daughter again. And she, true story, she stood in between her father and her man and said, Daddy, I love him. Don't do this. I don't want you to do this. I'm going to handle this. I'll handle this. And of course, you know, the party was over by that time. And her father told her these words. He told her, he said, baby, it's only if he can do this with me sitting right here and disrespect you like that, you can best believe it's going to get worse. I'm asking you to get out of this situation now because I don't want to see you hurt anymore. Well, of course, she stayed. And she stayed for,
like we do.
Yes, a number of years. And as it stands right now, she did get out of the relationship. But that was only because he went to prison. Hear me. He went to prison. She divorced him while he was in prison. When he came out, he met another young woman, got into the same routine. Her son came to his mom's aid, and he shot him several times. And so he's now back in prison. Okay? And so now what I'm saying is that my girlfriend, now she has the physical scars along with the mental abuse and the psychological abuse, and she's deaf in one ear. Okay, so
my goodness.
What I'm saying is that she made it out by the skin of her teeth, literally. But there are women that don't make it out. They don't make it out. So if this is you, and I'm just sharing lightly the details of this story, it's far more graphic than that. But I'm sure a lot of you that are listening probably are living this right now, so you can attest to what I'm saying. Get out of the relationship before it's too late.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Miss Mimi, you got any last comments?
I do. I wanted to say that time to time we all need help. And we are not here to judge any of you in any way, shape, or form. If you know someone that needs help, or if it's yourself, the number is 1-800-799-SAFE. Call. Be completely anonymous. That's your first step to ending the cycle of abuse. Mm-hmm. So many of us suffer from today and have suffered in the past. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Miss Debbie, I'm so glad you brought this topic up. Thank you.
Love you.
All right. Well, last thing I really want to share is that, you know, and I hope all our viewers, listeners, even if you're archiving the show, when you do check out this show, you know, when is a relationship considered abusive is the topic. That you have taken all things that's been discussed in consideration, in all seriousness. And once again, I'm not saying that what we share on the show, that we're calling ourselves, you know, the just right ones, that what we say is totally correct. However, I will say that you know, we have a quick way to be checked. Mm-hmm. If someone was to say that you're not intelligent, or you're stupid, mm-hmm. or you're ignorant, mm-hmm. we would jump up real quick and confirm how intelligent and smart, mm-hmm. and you know, reasonable. I'm not stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm not ignorant. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's granted. Mm-hmm. You've now confirmed that you're not ignorant. Okay. Now, however, by confirming that places a requirement of action to prove that. All right. Now this is where. All right. And this may be challenging. And yes, Jay is messing with you. But here is I'm speaking some real truth now. If we say that, now we have to face the challenge of proving those things. Now we do make mistakes and bad choices in life. However, there's this question of, do we have a pattern of making regular same bad choices? It's a different. We make different bad choices, but the same bad choices, because if we do the same that means we are choosing not to make better choices. All right, because that's a choice to make better choices. Okay. All right. Now, upon that, as I close with these last few short words, keep that in consideration. If you find what we're saying on the show is credible, then it's still it's left up to your choice.
It's your choice.
It's your choice. It's always your choice. It's never anybody else's choice. It's never that, I'm doing this because of what you did. It's always your choice, and we have to be responsible for it. And my last note is to the religious entity. I can't say this enough, because we have such a large group of people who fall into religious entity, who have taken a misleading perception as to accruing religion in their relationship under a deceptive view.
False pretenses.
False pretenses. And this is very important, because if we want our relationships to grow and be better, then we have to take some truths. And especially if you're calling yourself religious in any form, because religion or spirituality is based upon truth. And anytime you ignore truth, then that means you're not acting on truth. Then and this is going to come hard. Then that means you're not acting in a spiritual way. All right, because acting spiritual is acting upon truth. All right, so without getting any deeper than that, I think that's enough said. And we just hope and pray that this this show may help somebody. I'm going to also put this announcement out. There is a show a actual play that's coming in the Clarksville, Tennessee area, and possibly to some other cities in the future. But the opening show will be December 9th in 2016, about a month and a half away. It's going to be at the Austin Peay State University. It's like going to a David Talbot or Tyler Perry show. This play exemplifies some of the things that we're talking about. It's called When the Miracle Comes. And it, like I said, it details some of the stuff we're talking about: abuse, molestation, dysfunctional family. However, there is, and don't think that the show is all about bad stuff. It's a lot of good messages in the play and the show. So if you want more information, just either contact the J Talks Today's Relationship Show, or you could go to on Facebook, J Talks Today's Relationships. You could message. We could get all kinds of information to you. All right. So with that being said,
Yes.
all right. Let me not abuse our time and get out of here.
Okay.
So we can keep our relationship good with the people. All right.
All right.
All right. So we are out.
Bye.